Economist John Jordan, former Naval Intelligence Officer and overseer at the Stanford Hoover Institute, and Rebecca Walser, tax attorney. All right, Rebecca, I sit here and every time they're always like, hey, we're doing a great job. We've created these jobs. You don't create anything.
No, the government is just a transfer of what people have to what people have not. And in the process, they actually take up a lot of the money themselves. But, you know, to your point, Carl, it's absolutely true that we've had, out of the last 14 jobs numbers, we've had 12 of them revised downward. We haven't seen this level of revision since 2008, the global financial crisis, before the global financial crisis. So it's a very, very, very bad omen. And it speaks to the fact that people are having, they want to say all day long, I saw one of their economists today say, you know, oh, the cost of wages or the wage growth is keeping up with CPI. They're not looking at the total increase in inflation since the beginning of this administration.
Well, John, but the big thing, too, they come out, oh, the stock market's doing great. Well, yeah, if you factor in the 20% inflation over the last 3.5 years, it's not doing great at all.
No. The laws of economics are as immutable as the laws of physics, frankly, and the Democrats choose to ignore them. A few years ago, they made a big political bet that they could juice the economy with low interest rates, massive deficit spending, massive redistribution, and it would change the relationship between employers and employees, and people would like it. What they didn't count on was the fact that people don't like inflation.
Yeah.
And now you have Biden going to Scranton to talk about tax cuts when he is $619,756, which is more than 25 times the median income in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is not even $27,000. This is the biggest boo-boo by a political boob in that administration, in an administration populated solely by boobs. And you talk about tone deaf, how this is going to go into Pennsylvania, the Rust Belt, when they're trying to shut down fracking, make people drive EVs. It's gonna go over like a lead balloon, Carl.
But when you talk about these things, they say, well, look, literally, this is the Biden administration is coming out and basically saying the economy's good, and if you don't see that, you're stupid.
Yeah, I hear that from Wall Street all day long. I read all the business publications, obviously, and we hear it, and it's being forced down our throat. But you can't convince people to your point, Carl, when you have to go to Costco and buy, 5 bags of groceries for $300, people understand that they cannot meet their cost of living needs and their food and their housing with what has happened to this economy. So people know what the economy is. They don't need a politician. They don't need Wall Street. They don't need the news media to shove down their throat. Everything is fine. Or like Katie Couric, well, it must be that there's some kind of problem with MAGA people. They're not intelligent. I mean, this is really sad. There's a lot of people that support, homegrown, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, make something of yourself. Yeah. Let's use education to do that. And this economy is just, tell people they're fine. And look at the strategic, I can't even talk. Look at the strategic petroleum reserves. Look what he did to that. They set a limit saying we're not going to refill it past $79. And they let it go in 2022 for the 2022 election to make people feel like gas was cheaper. Yeah. Now we're potentially going into World War III with the lowest level of reserves we've had in forever, and they won't buy more because now it's too expensive.
Yeah, well, they also don't. But John, the bigger problem here is credit card debt. We're mortgaging our future. Mortgages are 60% more expensive. Credit card debt is out of control. Student loan debts are toppling. Where's the breaking point?
Well, let's talk about interest rates and what they are. Everybody focuses on the Federal Reserve, and that's part of it because that's the overnight rate. What people don't understand is the concept of crowding out. And that is federal borrowing or the federal demand for money, selling treasuries, is competing with private borrowers. So they're naturally going to keep interest rates high on the natural, regardless of what the Fed does.
But before we get off of that real quick, and I got about a minute left. If this continues to happen, like obviously they have to match inflation to interest rates and things like that. Right now, interest rates are higher than inflation. At any point, will they bring them down because they printed all this money? Can they?
It's going to be very difficult. The Fed will lower eventually with an economic slowdown because they're going to have to see weakness in the labor market to do it, bring that down. But eventually you're going to see a credit crunch. You're going to see more sellers of debt than buyers, and that's going to have potentially cataclysmic effects for the economy and certainly the federal government.
Unbelievable. John Jordan, Rebecca Walser, appreciate being here.
Thank you.